Up next on The Reveal, a hero cop kicked off the force.
If they're doing this to me, what else are they getting away with?
He saved a life and they took his badge.
It shows that they don't care. They don't care.
Why is his diagnosis nearly identical to other Atlanta police officers also found unfit for duty?
That's just cruel.
There's no proof that he's dead, and there's no proof that he's alive.
A mother's desperate search for her son.
I love you, come on. Whatever we need to do, we can do it together as a family.
It's a roadmap to grave fixing. That's exactly what it is.
A grade fixing scandal rocks a New Orleans school district. From our Midtown studios in Atlanta, The Reveal begins now with our multi-Emmy and National Moral Award-winning team of investigators.
Welcome to The Reveal. I'm Faith Abube.
And I'm Brendan Keefe. A hero cop kicked off the Atlanta police force. The city says he's psychologically unfit. But our Reveal investigation discovered other officers were also stripped of their badges and guns with strikingly similar evaluations.
A wild and dangerous night in Fulton County.
The kidnapping victim's sons were receiving text messages demanding the ransom money.
They took a picture of me with my head covered up and I was bloody.
A $100,000 ransom.
Atlanta police got involved. They chased the suspect for less than a mile before they crashed this silver Ford SUV in the parking lot. The men scattered. One of them was shot by Atlanta police in the leg.
The guy turned around, he had a gun drawn. I fired 2 shots.
You end up staring down the barrel of
A gun. And discharging it at me.
So they shot at you.
Yeah. That's the only thing you hear, and it goes in slow motion.
The shot fired at Officer Larry LoBianco missed. The car window behind him shattered.
And LoBianco was chasing him on foot. I heard a gunshot.
You're fired upon, you return fire. A lot of young officers would have emptied their magazines.
Yeah, fired 1 shot.
Shot fired.
I saw that the perp was shot in the leg and he was bleeding heavily. It was in the thigh. It looked like it was right where the femoral artery would be because he was bleeding a lot, and Bianco took his radio off and he took his cord and he tied it and twisted it like a tourniquet above the wound and stopped the bleeding.
This man tried to kill you, didn't he?
Correct.
This man shot at you. You returned fire, and then you end up saving his life.
In my opinion, he saved that guy's life because he was bleeding a lot, and he stopped the bleeding with his radio.
Wow.
He did, in my opinion.
The cord?
Yeah.
Wow.
So in my opinion, I think he saved his life.
If you're shot in an artery, a tourniquet's not really going to do anything. You actually have to go in there and plug it. I plugged it with my thumb.
You stuck your finger into the man's thigh and held his femoral artery closed.
Correct.
Until EMTs arrived.
Yeah.
I had to pry his hands off of the radio that he took, his shoulder mic, to wrap the tourniquet.
Yeah, he was...
Because he wouldn't let go because he was so freaked out.
Kidnapper Terenzio McCurdy was given life in prison.
Hey, is that her? Sarah, come on, go. Help me.
The kidnapping victim, Deborah Patrick, was given her freedom.
Our job is to prevent loss of life. I mean, that's what we took our oath for. You don't want to hurt anybody, but if you have to, you will.
Did you seek help after the shooting?
Definitely.
Therapy helped LoBianco thrive as an officer. The hero was promoted to an elite anti-gang unit and earned top reviews. But arguments with supervisors resulted in transfers, even while he was receiving praise for his composure directly from the chief of police. LoBianco's days in uniform were numbered shortly after he wrote this to his bosses. "I'm very disappointed with some of the officers in this zone, as well as some of the sergeants. It seems like when you try to do the right thing, you get shot down." What was it like when they took your badge, took your gun, and said, "You're not an Atlanta police officer anymore"?
Literally the worst moment in my entire life.
Internal Atlanta police documents show LoBianco's lieutenant began building a file on him. Immediately after, Internal Affairs said there was a lack of documentation to relieve the officer of duty. Within days, the lieutenant accused LoBianco of sexually harassing his male sergeant, though the sergeant did not feel harassed, nor that there was any sexual intent behind his way of trying to connect. And there was an alleged hit list of people who betrayed LoBianco. But in the same sentence, the lieutenant wrote there was no evidence to support such a claim.
If you look at the reason why I was relieved of duty, I mean, it's saying I'm mentally incompetent.
This is the final report issued by the psychologist hired by the city. Because of Officer LoBianco's overt efforts at impression management, the evaluator was unable to obtain an accurate diagnosis. But 11 months before that, a female APD officer was ruled unfit because of her overt efforts at impression management. The evaluator was unable to obtain a diagnosis. And 4 months before that, another APD officer with overt efforts at impression management, and again, the evaluator unable to obtain a diagnosis. There's one more thing that all three police officers had in common. The city sent all three cops to the same outside psychologist. Dr. Ifateo Ojolade refused to speak with us. Her report shows the city supplied records critical of the officer before she ever met LoBianco. Observations by her office staff were used against him. LoBianco was described as watching other clients in the lobby as if he were evaluating them as suspects for a non-existent crime. Were you doing that?
No,
I mean, what does that look like?
I don't think there's a word for what that looks like.
LoBianco had to fight to see the psych report that said he needed help. We will not release a copy of the report to Officer LoBianco because of concerns that the report may be harmful to his mental health, the city attorney wrote. LoBianco was fired, unfired, then reassigned, all before he was told what the city thought was wrong with him.
It's just horrible. I mean, how do you do that to an officer, a decorated officer? Just cut him off.
Two veteran psychologists who evaluated Officer LoBianco cleared him to return to full duty and sharply criticized Dr. Ojolade's methods. One wrote, "The initial fitness for duty done by APD psychologists is one of the worst I have ever seen." Right after we asked city officials why they kept sending officers to an outside psychologist who is unable to form a diagnosis, Dr. Ojolade deleted her social media accounts and put up a copyright warning over her practice's website. The effect of this kind of a ruling by a single individual is...
She destroyed my life.
If it were true, why just cast you aside? If you were shot in the line of duty, they'd be at your bedside.
Yeah.
But if they think or allege you've got a psychological issue, you're just thrown to the side, discarded.
What kind of leadership is that? What kind of person are you? That's just cruel.
Officer LoBianco's police certification has been fully reinstated by the state of Georgia, but the city of Atlanta refuses to consider those two more recent psychological evaluations that ruled him fit for duty, Faith.
Why?
Because it's the law. Atlanta revised its city ordinance back in 2017, still allowing officers ruled physically unfit to appeal the city's decision, but eliminating the entire appeals process for psychological evaluation.
So is the city saying anything now?
Faith, in response to our request for an interview, the police department wrote, "This is a grossly inaccurate mischaracterization of APD standards and procedures designed to ensure the safety of the public and law enforcement. This attack on a medical professional's objectivity is shameful, and we stand behind the process and the professionals who perform evaluations."
Coming up on The Reveal.
I don't know what's wrong with him. He's hitting me, he's grabbing me.
A 20-year-old man disappears after a bizarre fight with his family, never to be seen again.
It's the stuff movies are made of. 3 years ago this month, a young man disappeared after a bizarre fight with his family. Since then, his family has worked with police and private investigators searching for any sign of life. And now they're turning to you.
Please tell him, don't kill him.
On the 911 calls, you can hear a mother's desperate plea as police enter her son's apartment.
Just stun him if you have to, but don't kill him, please.
There were several 911 calls for help that night, but this would be the last.
One of you is telling police, don't shoot him.
He is a big guy. He potentially was under the influence of something, and no, I did not want them to kill my son.
Her son, Decorius Jones, was having hallucinations. His girlfriend, the woman he loved, was now a demon, the devil.
So when he seen her, it's like he just went into a rage because, like I said, he was telling me she the devil. Mama, don't talk to her. She the devil. She the devil.
Hello?
Jones's girlfriend was the first to call police while hiding under the stairs outside their apartment at the Sugarloaf Crossing in Lawrenceville.
I don't know what's wrong with him. He's hitting me, he's grabbing me.
And when he tried to choke her, she somehow managed to get free. Not even his mom, SHACORA, could calm his rage. She, too, had to run to safety.
He was trying to force something in my mouth. Tried to bite him, then he hit me in my head.
Just stay on the phone with me, okay?
But I'm really afraid for my life.
But as police canvassed the apartment, she was afraid for her son's life as well. Police never did shoot, though. Police never found him.
So this is his wallet?
All his stuff, his ID, his bank card, all his personal information.
Stuff you can't really get far if you don't have.
Jones ran out of the apartment wearing only a pair of navy blue basketball shorts. No shirt, no shoes, no car keys, no cell phone. His mom now carries his wallet everywhere she goes, along with a picture of her son.
The first weekend it happened, we put out over 4,000 flyers.
That was in 2016. Decorrius Jones hasn't been seen since.
He was right here.
When the family reached out to a private investigator, they prepared for the worst.
We searched that entire section of woods, and it backs up to 316.
Jones's girlfriend thought he ran into the thicket of brush behind the apartments. A K-9 team went in, this time looking for bones.
I was thinking for sure we'd find him. There's no proof that he's dead, and there's no proof that he's alive.
But there is proof someone introduced Decorrius Jones to acid, or LSD, a week before he disappeared. He told his mom, dad, even his girlfriend, just days before, the face once filled with joy could see nothing but darkness.
So I think it's curiosity, he told me he had tried it. And I'm like, don't try it no more.
Are you afraid he did try it one more?
I think he did.
Well, we hear a lot about heroin and opioids. Neil Campbell, director of the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse, says acid is making a comeback, up 40% in just 2 years among young adults.
I think a lot of it has to do with the perception of harm, and if they perceive something to be harmful, they're less likely to use it.
While LSD may seem safe, the mystery behind who and how it's manufactured makes it as dangerous as any other drug.
You have no earthly idea of what you're putting in your body. And you can have psychosis, what we call drug-induced psychosis. And some people don't come back from it.
What do you mean?
It's altered the function and the structure of their brain. He could have been hospitalized, he could have been injured, he could have amnesia.
Whatever happened, his mom insists he is alive, hiding, or hurting.
So what would you tell him then?
I love you, come on. Whatever we need to do, we can do it together as a family.
So much time has passed. Is this still considered an active investigation?
It is open, but unless police get new information, there's not much they can do. His mother kept his cell phone active for more than a year, but then it was turned over to police for a forensic exam and lost. It is just one more mystery in this case.
Next on The Reveal.
Grades are being manufactured, i.e. cooking the books.
Are teachers being asked to manipulate their students' grades? Welcome back to The Reveal. It was a decade ago when the Atlanta public school system was rocked by the largest cheating scandal in the nation.
And now it appears a similar grade-fixing scandal is underway in New Orleans. Through emails, teachers are being told how to manipulate their students' grade point averages.
Right off the bat, the subject line of the email to teachers at Abramson Sci Academy is shocking. Fix your grade book, it says.
It's a roadmap to grade fixing. That's exactly what it is.
A batch of almost identical emails was sent to 27 different teachers at Sci Academy on October 3rd. They were sent by Sci Academy Assistant Principal Whitney Omosefe, saying first quarter grades are due and 25% of the kids should get A's, 40% B's, 25% C's, and less than 10% should have a D or F. Omosefe goes on to write, while we don't want to cook the books, here's what you need to do for those sections with low averages, and lays out ways teachers can change the weight of different assignments to emphasize the ones where kids did better and negate the impact of ones where a lot of students failed.
I mean, this is a roadmap to grade fixing, so I'm not certain why she would preference it with, I don't want you to cook the books, because this is exactly what's happening. Grades are being manufactured, i.e. cooking the books.
Ashanta Wyatt is an educator who lost her run for the state Bessie board this month. She thinks an all-charter system with independent private companies vying for more control has spawned recent grade and test fixing scandals at Kennedy High, Landry Walker High, and Mary D. Coghill Elementary.
This is a perpetual issue. It's going on year in and year out, and until we take a collective look at what we're doing in these schools, we're going to continue to have instances where grades are being inflated.
But New Orleans Public Schools Superintendent Henderson Lewis doesn't think grade fixing is widespread, not even at Psy Academy.
It's my understanding that none of those emails made it to the principal until after the fact. And so as a principal, she did the right thing to actually communicate with her staff and reminded them of the expectation.
He said this was one assistant principal using poor judgment.
What I saw in the email was unacceptable. Our schools, as you look at Abramson Psy Academy, they have a grading policy. It's very simple to actually refer the staff members to the grading policy.
Principal Rhonda Dale said the school, quote, does not give grades that students have not earned. She said Omosefe's email, quote, did not use the best choice of words, but was intended to ensure grades for all students are fair. Dale also sent a new email to all teachers, saying the gradebook goal of 25% A's, 40% B's, 25% C's, and less than 10% D's or F's is an exemplar and should not be interpreted as a mandate. You have every right and obligation as a teacher to assign the grades that the students are earning, Dale wrote. Wyatt says teachers need to stand up for that right.
If she sent this email to me, my reply to her would be, I'm not giving anything other than what is earned.
And a few of the 27 Psy Academy teachers did indeed push back. For example, this teacher responds, with all due respect, I'm not fixing grades to reflect effort that was not put forth. It is not ethical, and it enables a lack of responsibility.
I agree with her, and I commend her because not many teachers will take a stand in an at-will environment, because directly after this email, she could have been unemployed.
That's because the all-charter school system also means no more teacher unions or civil service protections. Wyatt knows the risks firsthand. She was fired as principal at Edgar P. Harney School when she blew the whistle on financial improprieties.
I would want more teachers to take a stand and push against this notion that in order for our kids to do well, we have to fabricate grades, we have to push them through a system, we have to send them out into the world unprepared.
New Orleans Public Schools is the only all-charter public school district in the country. 42 charter organizations run 88 public schools in New Orleans. Public Schools Superintendent Henderson Lewis said teachers can report problems to a hotline at New Orleans Public Schools and remain anonymous. Abramson is run by a charter organization called Collegiate Academies. It declined to comment on whether the assistant principal, Whitney Omosefe, would face any discipline for sending the emails. She also declined to comment for this story.
If you have a news tip or a comment on one of our investigations, email us at thereveal@11alive.com.
Here now a preview of an investigation coming up Sunday and Monday night at 11 on Up Late.
The government knew and didn't tell everyone.
The reveal uncovers a potential threat involving a toxic gas used at sterilization plants in metro Atlanta.
From what we understand, it would be a pretty darn big hole in the ground.
What we found that the EPA typically keeps secret from the public, and an exclusive tour inside one of the facilities. Sunday on Up Late at 11 p.m.
Thanks for watching The Reveal, the nation's only weekly local investigative show.
And we'll see you next week for The Reveal.